Thank you so much again for being here. And I would like to start with y'all telling me a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what you do.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having us. I can kick it off. So I'm James Mathew. It's my brother with me, Philly, and I'll let him introduce himself in a sec. But I guess, we together are the co-founders of Outer Voice Records, which we call a South Asian American record label. Really what we're trying to do here is create a institution for our community in this industry that we feel really hasn't existed before. And in doing so, increase the representation of our people in this business, and just create more of a support system for the talent that exists from our community in this country.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Amazing, yeah. I mean, echoing all that, I'm Philly. On the business side, I'm the co-founder, like James said, and COO. And then as well, so James and I kind of serve two roles. So we serve on the business side, kind of running the label with a team of great members with us. And then also we're on the creative side. So under the group name Jam and Philly, we produce, write, record original music.
That's wonderful. Multifaceted kings. Yes, yes, yes. So I know y'all are like entrepreneurs outside of music as well, but how did you get started in music, really?
Yeah, our parents, so I should mention our dad comes from a very musical family, and our mom, isn't as musical herself, but had a vision, a dream for her kids, her future kids, before she even had kids, that they would learn classical piano. It was something that she wanted to do, didn't have the means growing up to do so. So that was like her goal for her children. They would be able to learn classical piano. So when both of us were 4 or 5, not even 5, we were in lessons, doing the piano thing. From there came guitar and vocals, and both of us just started learning a couple different instruments. And then I think when I was, sort of the end of high school, so we're brothers again, 3 years between us about. So when I was toward the end of high school, we started taking original music more seriously. And so we were songwriting, and then Philly, maybe you talk a little bit about when you sort of really took it to a new level.
Yeah, I think what really happened, because we always loved music and we were writing for a long time. I think James and I wrote our first song probably when he was in middle school. I was like late elementary school. And we were always writing, always in our piano room, just coming up with music. So by the time, like James said, by the time he was a senior in high school, we probably had maybe 50 acoustic songs, but we looked at each other and we were just like, you know what? I think this is kind of good. I actually like this song. I think more people should hear this. And we were like, well, we can't actually record anything. We don't have the means to record it or, produce anything professionally. We can only do that if one of us learns how to produce music. So then that's when, I think, my junior year of high school, that's when I picked up producing, learned FL Studio. And yeah, from there we were able to finally put a song on the streaming platforms.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I've heard like FL Studio is really what all the when you're first starting out, that's what everyone's been using from my point of view.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great software for sure.
Yeah. So can you tell me about the story behind Outer Voice Records, its history, how it came to be?
For sure. So I love this story. We tell it so much because anytime we're trying to pitch someone, an artist, a business person, it all comes back to the same story. So really, it starts at the end of 2019, really into the beginning of 2020, when we started doing work for Converse, the shoe company. I had actually been discovered by Converse's chief marketing officer through a viral video, sort of unrelated to the music stuff that we do, but that's what got us in the door at Converse. Then they came to learn that the two of us did music together, and they started taking a little interest in helping us out, with different opportunities and get different meetings with people in music. And one of those meetings, which ended up being really, really fundamental and foundational for everything that we're doing now, was a meeting with a guy named Christian Clancy in June of 2020. And Clancy is just a very, very accomplished manager. He's got Tyler, the Creator, and Brockhampton currently, had the late Mac Miller and Frank Ocean in the past. So just a guy who's really, really seen some top artists and made a lot of great careers. And so we get to sit down with Clancy, and place him some of our music and tell him a bit about ourselves. And he basically hits us with 3 pieces of advice casually. He didn't even know what he was doing, but he hits us with 3 pieces of advice that have become massive for us. So the first thing he said was, I've not seen your identity, the South Asian identity around me in my circles, lean into that because it makes you unique. Second thing he says that a great way to grow artistically and creatively is to do it around other artists. So try and create a collective around you of other people you can collaborate with. And the third thing he said, so, I graduated in May. At the time, we were both Harvard students, and fortunate to be getting, a really solid education. And one thing he said is that I haven't seen your education level in the artists themselves. I've seen it more in business people. So as y'all, as artists, can create a business around yourselves as well, that'll only do yourselves a favor. So we took those 3 pieces of advice, took it back to some of the people we worked with at Converse, we're sort of digesting it. And it was pretty soon, it was like, that's a South Asian American record label. You put all 3 of it together, that's what, we get. So that really, I think I would call the origin story. And then of course there was such a process of building it and recruiting the people and getting the mentors and so much stuff that we did before launching it to the world publicly a year later in June of 2021.
Yes, that's an amazing story. Wow.
Thank you.
Everything came to fruition. I'm glad you took his advice. It's really hard sometimes for people to take advice. So
it's true.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what does your day-to-day look like as record label owners? Philly, you want to take this one as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of meetings. I would say we kind of, as a young startup, often is like it's kind of a 24/7 workday. So I think during the day, we're mainly taking meetings with, different partners, meeting up with Converse mentors, just trying to, getting more information and trying to get our name out there to more people. And then at night is usually when we have our team meetings. So those like we have a weekly team meeting with all the members of our group. We have like weekly work streams as well, where we try and like create more content, work on marketing strategy, all that stuff. So I would say that's on the business side. And then James and I also as artists constantly, this is a little bit more sporadic as our artists usually are. I would say that usually comes at like 1 a.m. after I'm done with all work, schoolwork. I pick up the computer and then I'm like, hey, let me make a beat, and then I'll send it over to James. He writes some stuff, and then that's kind of the process for the music. But all in all, we try balancing it out, and then that's how we get into our dual role.
That's so cool. You want to add anything, James?
No, I think he summed it up. Yeah, it's very much, always on the go. It's not really a 9 to 5. Sometimes we can be really light during that 9 to 5, and then like 5 to 12 will be really packed. So, it's just sort of a weird schedule that we keep, but yeah, no, we have fun with it. That's for sure.
Cool. Just please stay healthy. We need you.
That's real. No, that's real.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But speaking of your team, can you tell me a little bit more about your team and the different roles that are inside Outer Voice Records?
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Our team is dope. So we've got, and I know actually that a couple members of our team have done different things with Finesse in the past. So it's all coming full circle. But so we have Becky Mathew runs our A&R. So she's a Philly native, just sort of came up in one of Philadelphia's prominent studios and just cut her teeth there with a lot of stuff, being an engineer and a producer herself. And now sort of running A&R for us, which primarily is artist scouting. But then also for Jam and Philly, for our releases, that is coordinating sort of our mixing and mastering process, connecting us with different engineers and different people in the business, setting up meetings and stuff. So she's able to really balance her role really well, creatively and business. We were talking about Nish just a few minutes ago. So Nish is our chief comms officer. She has a PR background, and so really helps on our messaging side and all of the press outreach that we do and creating the press releases and sort of all the things that we need anytime we put out music or put out any sort of content. And then Archit is our video extraordinaire. He's done our first 2 music videos as the director and DP. I mean, being a startup, we aren't as staffed as a lot of operations may be. So he plays a lot of roles when it comes to the video content, and just really, really kills what he does. And then we've actually just recently brought in a couple other people that are helping a lot on the marketing side, on the strategy side, redoing our website. So there's just a lot of different, very talented people, and we're proud to say all within our community, very much keeping with the idea of giving opportunities and empowerment to South Asians in this business. So we're lucky to have, some really, really capable people helping us out.
That is amazing. It's always great to have a good team behind you, next to you,
Yeah. It's a must.
Yeah.
So you told me that you're artists, but I knew that, obviously. So what is, I also looked at your website. I didn't see any more artists under the label, but they're coming. I saw the roster was coming up. So what is the process of finding and bringing other artists onto your label?
No, that's a great question. That's something I'm very excited about, because as a label, you're only as good as your artists, truly. So I'm really excited to expand it and keep bringing on more people soon. But it's kind of, especially in this day and age, it's a lot of Instagram deep dives, Spotify, TikTok, all that. It's kind of, you go from one artist and then you look others like related to, and then you just keep clicking and keep going down. And then what we do is we have a weekly listening session with all of our teammates. So we'll go through an artist if we think they're good, and we go through them, give feedback, and then finally if we all mess with them, we'll reach out and usually schedule some meeting just to get to know them first, and then we'll try and do something first, I think, creatively, to see if we vibe with each other and if we're on the same wave when it comes to making music in the studio, what's our process, all that stuff. And then after that, hopefully if it's a good match, then we get them onto the label. But yeah, so currently in the talks with a few artists.
Good, that's amazing. So what would you say is like one of the most important qualities you have when you're finding or choosing artists?
So you go for it. You want to go for it?
Yeah, no, I think we're probably going to say the same thing, but you can expand on it. I think for sure I would say songwriting. I think there are a lot of really amazing singers, and we love that. I think what differentiates like really, really good artists that can be at the top are their ability to really write strong, catchy melodies, write relatable lyrics, and do all that. So I think when we find an artist that can do that as well as kill the song with their vocals, then we know that it's a real, there's a lot of potential there, and then it's a match. Yeah, James, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think it's interesting within our community, especially for a few years now, there's been a lot of people who have found success doing covers, and especially doing sort of fusion stuff where they'll like mash up an American pop song with like a Bollywood track. And there's a lot of really, really cool things that happen, and people who have really created their artistry around that. But I think for us, what we're really interested in doing here, like Philly said, is finding people who are very committed to their songwriting process and to their original music, and people who are using their voice to tell their own story and their own lyrics in addition to singing other popular songs really, really well. So that's been something that we're really, really committed to. We've gotten to connect with people who are very strong vocalists, but who don't songwrite, or who don't really have as much interest putting out their own music on a Spotify or Apple Music. And I think that's not as much of what we're looking for when we're coming across talent.
Mm-hmm. I definitely love what y'all just said. Whenever I listen to music, I always listen to like the lyrics, obviously the music as well, but lyrics are what reel me in, because I'm a writer. And like if I can relate to them, you have me hooked. So I'm glad I'm glad y'all are doing this. It's amazing. So I also saw on your website you have a list of mentors. So one, that's beautiful, because you have so many people you're learning from, guiding you. So can you tell me a little bit more about how you found your mentors and how they helped like get you to where you are now?
Yeah, I could. We're never sure. So the mentors have been an incredibly important part of our success thus far, and also really just they were a really, really integral part of our model even before we recruited them, we knew that we needed them and that we needed mentors in general. Primarily knowing that what we were trying to do in terms of going into an underrepresented space to create something that could improve representation, we knew that that needed to be something that our community could really get behind. So it wasn't just the two of us as artists. It wasn't even just us and the couple people that we recruit for our team, but it's just, we wanted it to really be a broader South Asian effort, a really, very much so a community effort. And so I think when we were reaching out to these mentors, really that we were just coming across on Instagram, we were looking for people who have been in music or entertainment for a few years now, who have really been doing well at what they do, but have sort of been doing it just independently in their respective spaces. And our pitch to them was, we're trying to do this for the culture, for our community. You've been doing it and killing it. Come, support this. Now, let us give you something that you're probably caring about to sort of give back to. That's kind of been our pitch. And it's been something that I think obviously interested a lot of these people who are, top engineers and music video producers and A&Rs and, people on the business side. We have a very diverse group of people who are on that mentor list. But yeah, they've been so helpful in terms of just industry insights, opening doors for us from a network standpoint. They've been really, really amazing people to have in our corner.
Yeah, and sorry. I think what's really special about them too is that so I'm 19 years old. James just turned 23. Our entire team is kind of similar, somewhere in that range. So where we lack in experience and industry know-how, they really make up for that, and they just give us a lot of guidance, a lot of mentorship and support. And just whenever it's really amazing, like you said, to have mentors, because whenever we're faced with a tough decision and we just need some help, they're just a text away, and then they always come through and they help us out. So definitely very thankful for the mentor network.
Yes, that's really awesome. Like going back to what I said earlier, taking advice, like listening to people, actively listening, really good, really good, really good. So you also said that you were a brand partner with Converse, and I read that you were mentored under Tyler the Creator as well, in Converse, right?
That was great. Yeah.
Can you expand more on that?
Yes. So I mentioned earlier that part of the game changer for us is when Converse found out that we did music, the two of us, and started to help us out a little bit. Well, one of those ways that they helped us out, in addition to that meeting with Clancy, was a creative opportunity to compose the music for a brand film, just sort of score it. And that is where they paired us, or sort of put us under the mentorship of Tyler to create this music and to create this piece for their film. And so we got to, connect on some Zoom calls with him and just share what we were doing, get some of his reactions to what we were trying to do musically, and especially what Phil was really taking a lead on there from a production standpoint. So yeah, that was a crazy experience. I mean, it was insane. It was
just super. It was honestly crazy because he's one of our favorite artists. He's one of my favorite producers. So to really just get, sit down with him. And I think what was really special, honestly, about that moment too, a lot of people ask us often, when did you know that this is when you want, like, this is what you wanted to do and this is what you were made to do? And I would say we always respond, it was a series of just a lot of affirmation from a lot of people. And I think he definitely played a special role in that. When we got on the Zoom meeting with him, showed him the production, and then, we even played something live for him, I believe, on the piano. And he kind of, after we were done, we were all nervous. We're like, what is he gonna say? I know he's tough. Did he hate it? And he's just like, wow, that was good. I like that. And he gave us like honest feedback, and he just really affirmed and validated everything that we were doing. So I think that was a really big moment for us. We're like, you know what? Let's really pursue this thing. Let's do this.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's really something special when you meet like the people you look up to in your respective fields. I feel like
Totally.
Yeah. So as multifaceted entrepreneurs yourselves, do you have an overall goal that you want to see through with running your label?
Oh my God, we have too many. We try and we
Yeah.
try and pace ourselves like, no, that's the 30-year goal. You know, something we catch ourselves like that's a goal. No, you know what? I think what we are committed to doing in the near future really is expanding this roster, as we were mentioning, and creating the content that can really corner this brand position that we're after, which is the South Asian American label, the South Asian American label. I think that's what we're trying to do. That's who we're trying to serve and what we're trying to embody. And so I think obviously there's a process there, and that takes time to really corner that and really be able to serve that market and represent that talent. But I think that's what we're trying to do. We ourselves have a song and a new video that we're working on coming soon. You know, we're always writing new stuff and working on new things. And then, like we said, we're trying to talk with different artists to hopefully get some other voices onto our roster to start building out that brand in that way. So I think that's our nearest goal. And, you know, thinking down the road, it's to be something that is really a sustainable operation that, you know, can function for years to come and really serve as this destination and primary support system for our community trying to get into the American mainstream in music. So that's what we're after.
Yeah. So with all that being said, what keeps you going like in this music industry? I have lots of thoughts about this music industry, and it can be difficult to like you know, keep a clear path, you know. So what keeps you going and pursuing this dream?
Yeah. Phil, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I've never been asked that. Let me think. Honestly, I would say this may be generic, but I would say it's like it's the culture. It's just the community. It's everything we're doing for them. I think that we know that we're, you know, obviously as Jam and Philly, we want to be well known. We want our music out there, but we're ultimately building this record label. We're building an institution for our community because we're highly underrepresented. So I think like what keeps us going is just knowing that without us, there possibly like nothing will change. If we actually succeed in this industry, we'll change the makeup of everything, and we'll see more people that look like us on the screen, and we can inspire more youth just growing up to also be like, hey, I actually see someone like me on the screen, maybe I can do this too. And then they're going to know that there's an institution, Outer Voice Records, that's actually looking for someone like them and is trying to discover them and hone in on their talent and really develop them. So I would say it all comes back, even, and it does get hard for sure. Like you said, there's a lot of toxicity and a lot of bad things in the music industry, but I think it always comes back to just, you know, we're doing it for the culture, doing it for the community.
Love it. Love it. Do you want to add anything, James?
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think we from jump have said that it's bigger than us, you know, what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, if one day, you know, if our own, for instance, we talk about this as well in a very honest and open way. If Jam and Philly weren't to have much artist success, you know, of course we'd be bummed. It's a passion of ours. It's something that we love to do. But I think we would be fully prepared and just as excited to say, okay, the artist thing didn't work out. Let's just go play business owners and try and build this label to support the artists that it may work out for, or, you know, the talent that we could break a little better. So I think that's something that we remind ourselves of often, is that it's certainly at the moment, you know, something that we're very much pursuing from an artist standpoint, but the business of this and the label component of this, we really feel as is something that's much bigger than our own music career. So yeah, that's something we always remind ourselves.
Definitely. Y'all are very inspiring to me. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, so I have a couple more questions for you. But first, I really want to give the space for y'all to provide context on like what your academic and like professional backgrounds are, because I think it's cool how I'll let y'all explain your own words, because I know, but y'all can explain your academic and professional backgrounds and how they intertwine with music as well.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So, well, academically, so I just graduated in May, class of 21, from Harvard, where I studied sociology, and health policy as well, minored in global health and health policy, where I just, really was fascinated by matters of social inequality. That's really why I studied sociology, because, and particularly the way that inequality affects health outcomes. And so that's where that minor came into. So that's really how I spent my 4 years in the classroom. And I think, now professionally, what I do, obviously, there's the work that we do here for Outer Voice. I'm also a fellow for Converse. So I do sort of more traditional work for the brand, in addition to some of this work that we do for the label with the brand. So I kind of have two hats that I wear with Converse. And I basically do marketing and strategy work with them. And so I feel like in real time, I learn things from my work for them that I'm able to apply to our label, and things around how to grow into different markets, and how to create strategies for social media, and build campaigns and all this type of stuff. I feel like I have a really unique privilege of learning in real time from such a big brand and company, and then transferring it over to my startup. So yeah, that's what I do. That's what I'm up to.
Cool. Philly?
Yeah. So I am a current sophomore at Harvard. I study economics. And yeah, really trying to use my knowledge here to help, my economics knowledge to help in building the business and carrying it forward. All my like another passion of mine, not many people know this, but I actually do quite a bit with hunger policy in America. So I've done some research there. James and I actually, this is a few years back, but we still run it. No one really knows this, but we actually created an app called Got Food. And it basically assists the food insecure population in locating nearby feeding resources. So food pantries, soup kitchens, WIC offices, SNAP offices, stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of been something, honestly, going into college, that's something that I was really passionate about, and still am, and still doing work whenever I can over the summer, doing research on that. But yeah, now also definitely always have had the passion for music. So now really pursuing that more professionally.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know I use that word a lot, but it's amazing, point blank period. My goal from asking that question was to reiterate how artists, industry professionals can be more than one thing, like multifaceted.
100%.
Yeah, so it's really important. I think it's also like very possible and doable, as we can see with you two. So
yeah,
I have, I think, two more questions left, but if you can you tell me any future plans or even aspirations that you two have in regards to Outer Voice Records? Like, what is something you hope to achieve within the music industry?
So, I think well, actually, one thing that we are announcing shortly, and I'm not sure when this episode's going to come out on YouTube. I think this will be out. I think this news will be out before this comes out, I think. But we just signed a distribution deal with a company called Vidya. And Vidya basically is a distribution company that's supported and worked with some really A-list artists that we love, like anyone from Kanye to Post Malone to Daniel Caesar, and just a bunch of people in between. And so basically we're very excited for this partnership to support our releases going forward for us, as well as any other artists that we bring onto the label, just helping us with some of that official editorial playlisting that can be so tricky nowadays, helping us with marketing and all different things that is so important nowadays as digital as the music industry has got it. So very excited for that. And I think as we go forward from that, we aspire to continue acquiring partners like that, really in the form of successful artists, business people, the companies they represent. I think we're very interested always in business partnerships where there can be some mutual benefit, where we can continue to sort of creep into this industry and increase our credibility in this industry, especially being younger kids who come from an underrepresented background. We recognize how important credibility is. So that's sort of what we're after, I think, is signing different partnerships and deals with sort of the big players of this industry. We're trying to rub shoulders with people at the top. That's what we're trying to do. So
Yeah. You want to add anything, Philly?
I think he hit the nail on the head with that one. Yeah, that summed up everything for sure.
Got you. So my last question for you is, so do you have any advice for aspiring entrepreneurs, label owners, or even music industry professionals?
Go for it.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely do. I think this is a piece of advice just for any entrepreneur, but especially in the music business and the music industry when it's very hard to kind of succeed in it. I think often the hardest part for any entrepreneur is just getting the motivation to just start, to just do it. I think a lot of times you can see a gap in the industry. You can have people affirm you and say they're like, oh, that would be a great idea. That's what's like, you need to do that. But then to actually, cultivate resources, build a network, and then really just make a brand and put yourself out there, it's hard and it takes a lot of courage and it's not easy to do it all. So I would say though, definitely do it. Don't sleep on your idea. If you had the idea, if people are affirming you, like it's a good idea no matter what. So I would just say always just nonstop grind and just work on it and yeah, just try your best to just get your foot in the door, because the rest after that it'll come. Everything will get into place. But yeah.
The only thing I'd add is get help. I think that's what we did first was we recruited a team. We recruited those mentors that we talked about, whether it's people who are going to be day in, day out partners on the business side, or it's just people who can be in your corner to give you advice, who have some sort of expertise, or if it's just people who can, provide you with some emotional support, in the midst of setbacks. Whatever your help looks like or whatever help you need, I think go get it. That's always been our model. Is trying to involve others in what we're trying to do in anything we've created together, and that was definitely exactly what we did with Outer Voice. So that would be my piece of advice.
Yes, solid guys. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me, giving some incredible answers, responses, and just being a part of this series. I really enjoyed talking with y'all.
Thank you, Jordan. Happy to be here. Thank you.
Too.